This is not part of my running commentary, but there's a family of deer here that is so beautiful, and I just love watching them. They were out in the open field a few moments ago, but they left. So here we go. We have a beautiful thought that is transformative if we apply ourselves to it. Starting with a question. A Yahrrzeit is something that everyone cherishes and treasures and observes very solemnly. We take a candle, we light a candle. People who don't observe much more, Rabbi, what do I do for the Yahrdzeit? Do I light a candle tonight, tomorrow, etc., etc.? You would imagine that the Torah is full of Yahrzeits. It's full of days of remembrances of the passing of the great people. And it is. We know the dates of many of those who passed, including Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, David HaMelech, King David, and many others. But the strange thing is that there's only one recorded Yahrdzeit date in the Torah, in the whole Torah, where there are 3,024 books and 3,000 years of history. There's no Yahrzeits, there's no dates. It doesn't say, and Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on this date. It does say only once, and that is Aharon. Moshe's brother Aharon HaKohen is the only one who has a Yahrdzeit recorded at date, and that is Rosh Chodesh Av, which is tonight, the first day of the 5th month. The Torah says, "Vayivko so kol bnei Yisrael," the whole Jewish people cried him, the men, the women, and the children. Why was Aharon chosen to have his Yahrdzeit recorded in the Torah? The Rebbe asks this question, I'm sure many others do too. Here's one take. When Aharon passed away, the whole Jewish people cried. The men, the women, and the children. Even more than Moshe Rabbeinu. Although Moshe, his effect obviously was greater. Because Aharon had a unique quality about him where he pursued love and peace and unity, and he made peace between people who were fighting. When he passed away, everyone was sad. The men, the women, and the children. Aharon had a personal relationship with everyone. The Rebbe asks, that makes sense that everyone was sad, but why, quote, the date? Why is it important to know that the Torah should mention the date of Aharon's passing? And the Rebbe gives a phenomenal answer. The Rebbe explains that 1,300 years later, on Rosh Chodesh Av, was the beginning of the 9 days of destruction and of mourning and of sorrow for the Jewish people. And that's now, 1,300 years later. Today we're still mourning the destruction of the temple, and that era, the intensity of the destructions started on the same date as Aharon's birthday. So Aharon was Rosh Chodesh Av, the first day of the 5th month. That was the same date of the destruction. Says the Rebbe that the antidote, the answer, the cure for the cause of the destruction was following Aharon's footsteps. Aharon taught to love each other indiscriminately, unbridled love, unwarranted love, the opposite of what caused the destruction of the temple, where the enemies from without and from within destroyed us, destroyed our holy temples. The Rebbe explains further. The Midrash brings a fascinating situation where the Torah tells us never tell a lie, so much so midvar sheker tirchak. We need to completely distance ourselves from telling lies. The Midrash explains what Aharon, Moshe's brother, would do when he would see two people quarreling or fighting, or a husband and wife who were arguing, or God forbid separated. He would go to a separated husband and wife, and he would tell them, he'd go to one and say, let's say he'd go to first, let's say to the wife, and say, oh, I just spoke with your husband, and he's so sorry about what he did, and he really feels bad about the destruction he's bringing to the family, and he wants to reconcile with you, and he's crying bitter tears. And that wasn't true. It never happened. But then he'd go to the husband and say the same thing about the wife. I just spoke with your wife, and she really wants to come back together, or with your friend, or whatever the relationship was. He would lie. He'd make up stories that each told the other, that each of them told him, that they really want to reconcile and they feel terrible about the separation, etc., etc. Asks the Rebbe, how could Aharon HaKohen, who was the high priest, the first and the greatest, Moshe's brother, how could he lie blatantly like that? The Rebbe explains that Aharon saw deeper inside what was really going on, and it wasn't a lie. What Aharon saw was the truth within each and every one of us. That the truth is unity and love, and the hatred that seems, or the unfriendliness, is really a facade, and it's mostly usually coming from a point of desperation, a point of despair, a point of not knowing what to do. But it's not true. The truth of a relationship between every husband and wife, between friends, between every Jew, is that of true unity and true love. Not just that, but endless love and unwarranted love. And the Rebbe explains that the way to reverse the tragedies of the past, and also to safeguard and protect our friends and neighbors in Israel today, is by having unwarranted, unbridled, indiscriminate love for each other, truly exemplifying who we really are, not who we seem to be with our protective covers. And that's why the Torah, says the Rebbe, the Torah notes the date of Aharon's Yahrdzeit, which was tonight, the 5th month, the first day, Rosh Chodesh Av, to tell you that the destruction that happened then, and it is still happening now because we're still in exile, can be reversed by following Aharon's lifestyle and Aharon's mission, which was to bring peace between all people, husband and wife, friends and families and neighbors, and everything in between. That's the basic idea. So it became a national holiday, and that's why it's the only Yahrdzeit in the Torah that is dated. I think that's the basic idea that I wanted to share with you. And tonight is the beginning of 9 days, so there is a series of morning observances. We're going to have a little barbecue right now. Family's coming from New York, and that will be the final meat that we have aside from Shabbos until Tisha B'Av, until after the 9th of Av. So it's one of the observances of the morning, and there are more. You can see more on Chabad.org. God bless you. Let's reverse the trend, bring love into the world, and bring the third holy temple with the Mashiach now.